Alright, so who's on the chopping block this time?
I'll give you a hint. It's a commentator with practically no following doing a video on gender issues who's complaining that not even a word, just part of a word, is sexist against women. And this person says he's not an SJW.
Oh, great, I get to hit Slothboy again? Oh, well, here we go. Wait, what? Who else could it be?
New guy.
Well, fuck.
'Fore anyone tells me, yeah, we know this is his first commentary, but we're still harsh in this video because, well, it pissed us off. Just take it as being done for entertainment and to blow off steam.
With that said, let's start the video.
This isn't super important, but it bugs me that your disclaimer sort of implies that you can't argue about controversial topics and have fun with it at the same time. I could easily name you tons of YouTubers off the top of my head that completely debunk that.
Not only that, but I can't help but feel this is a little bit of a trigger warning. Like, oh my god, guys, he's covering feminism. Quick, duck into the titanium line panic room. Not only is it unnecessary because those who watch your videos are most likely not going to give a crap, but it makes it seem like you are desperately trying to do with this video with kids' gloves.
Hey guys, this is ARC the Clarinet Master, and welcome to my first YouTube commentary. Now, for those of you who are new to commentaries, basically this is where we watch other people's videos which are not very well constructed, and we basically just offer constructive criticism.
Do you legit have disclaimers going on for a solid minute and 11 seconds following an intro that lasts a minute and 15 seconds? The ridiculous problem with this should be obvious, but I mean if I have to bring it up, obviously you don't get it. The problem with your commentary starting at the 2-minute and 26-second mark is, well, it's unnecessary and long. And I suppose while that's not inherently bad on its own, you're not very entertaining. Like at all. Get some energy in there, please!
So one day I was on YouTube and I came across a video called Forests in the Olden Days from a user called Lindybeige. Now, I really don't know much about Lindybeige as a whole, but from what I can gather, he's basically this historian.
I have a question for you, Ark. Who cares? Nothing you're saying here is relevant to the commentary itself, and it's not interesting at all either. If you're gonna make videos on YouTube, you gotta keep in mind the question, will my audience give a fuck about this? If you don't care about your audience, you'd be better off just locking yourself in your closet and talking to yourself all day.
Who makes educational videos about the Middle Ages and various other topics. So yeah, I decided to click on this video about forests in the olden days because I was genuinely interested to see what they were like in medieval times. But then another video of his caught my attention, a rant video entitled Actress is a Perfectly Good Word. So out of curiosity, I just decided to watch the video, and as the title would suggest, Lindy discusses how women prefer to be referred to as actors rather than actresses. And this is the video I'll be commentating on. Yep, it's one of those videos.
One of those videos? One of what videos? Makeup tutorials, sketch comedy, countdown, opinion piece, porno? I know you just stated prior that this video was a rant on the word actress, but that still brings up questions like, is it a rant on the English language? Or is it a rant about how the word actress had historical meaning to it? I mean, sure, I know what you're talking about, but your audience may not, especially considering very few of your videos talk about what this is actually covering, and are instead videos with you, surprise surprise, playing the clarinet.
This ought to be fun. And just so we're clear, no, I'm not trying to appeal to radical feminists or SJWs. In fact, I'm planning to commentate on these types of people in the future. I'm just giving my personal opinion on what is a very touchy subject matter. However, if I do start to sound like an SJW, feel free to let me know how, so I can back down on it in the future.
Oh, because we can't have our opinions sounding like they come from social justice warriors now, can we? This is legit the worst damage control I think I've seen in a while. Basically preemptively saying, oh, if I sound like an SJW, I'll retract basically everything I've said here, even though this reflects what I think about this topic. I mean, damn, dude, join the Countdown community or something. They fucking love their flame shield memes.
The word SJW to these types of people is like the word racist to the regressive left. They'll do anything in their power to avoid being called that one fucking word because once they're tarred with it, they feel like their credibility is gone forever. And this mindset needs to end since all it is painting the other side as a boogeyman, and it creates an echo chamber where people are too afraid to talk against the group, so stop.
This is also not a personal attack on Lindybeige. I'm just trying to give constructive criticism because he does seem like a nice guy, and I just think he might need a little bit of insight, you know. And lastly, I should probably also point out the elephant in the room. in that this video contradicts one of my channel updates where I said I would no longer discuss gender issues and other controversial topics.
You know, because it's not like you can't change your mind or anything. After all, this was literally almost a year ago. Over that time frame, odds are you can gain an interest in it and want to talk about it a lot more in depth. Just because it contradicts an update video from a year ago is not only irrelevant, but it shows you don't feel comfortable with growing up as a human being.
I think it's about time, however, I scrapped that rule, since there are things I want to speak up about. But just so you know, my channel isn't going to entirely become about expressing my opinions on these political issues. I still want to create fun, entertaining videos.
Here we go again, can't have fun and talk about politics at the same time.
Don't worry about offending people, because that's gonna happen no matter what you do.
You know, because my channel's basically a variety channel. So yeah, if you really don't want to watch these kinds of videos, you don't have to. That is, unless you're giving criticism, which is always welcome as long as you're constructive and polite about it. So with that out the way, let's begin the commentary.
That's boring. You're boring, everybody. Quit boring everyone!
Alright, your skip part. Skipping 7 seconds of the intro is a really large time frame to skip now, isn't it, Art? It's not like his intro's, about 2.5 minutes or anything. Like, legit, an extra 7 seconds never killed anyone, especially seeing as when we cut to Beige's video, you show you can speed up the video, which thus makes that 7 seconds even shorter. In fact, your skip card may be as long as what you had skipped.
Also implying you have any fucking right to call anyone boring after your insomnia-curing autistic killjoy fest of an intro.
When I refer to a woman whose profession is acting, I call her an actress, because I believe this to be a perfectly accurate word to describe her. That's what she does. She acts, and she's a woman. But the current fashion is to refer to them as actors. And I believe this is a very pernicious thing. I cannot think of any more powerful way of making it absolutely clear to all listeners that there is something lesser about being an actress over being an actor, that presumably women can't act very well, or just women are just innately inferior to men, because otherwise, why would we risk insulting them by calling them actresses? Because if that's an insult, then clearly an actress must be somehow shameful or lesser than an actor. Why should that be?
Oh my god. You are completely missing the point here. They are not... Oh my god. They're not saying that being female is somehow inferior. The point is that the standard form actor is treated as masculine. And to make it feminine, you just tack a suffix on the end. And that's supposed to signify that it's a woman. The presence of this suffix indicates that being female is somehow lesser and inferior because it's basically saying that women are just a subset of men.
Fucking what? So because Beige gets the idea that people complaining about the word actress to some people implies that being a woman actor is somehow inferior, he misses the point that actress may imply that women actors are inferior to men? This is a 24-minute video and already I'm about to pop a blood vessel. Also, the suffix s has a very short and easy to understand etymology. It stems from the French suffix sa, Latin's isa, Greek's isa, and Middle English's esse, which borrows from the Dutch.
And only exist in relation to men. How did you miss that?
I call them actresses, not just because I have a love of the English language or because I believe it's just perfectly accurate, but also because I have far too much respect for women not to. I don't want to insult them by calling them actors.
And yet you're okay with insulting women by referring to them as though they're the second sex.
Hey jackass, I wasn't aware you spoke for every woman on the fucking planet. Like seriously, I haven't even heard SJWs complain about the word actress, and that's saying a fuck of a lot.
Consider this a nitpick of your wonky wording, but second sex? I mean, there is only 2 sexes, or 3 if you count hermaphrodites, so I mean, could one consider women the second sex? Now, I'm aware of what you're trying to get at, but could you not have worded it better than that? Also, while I'm thinking more about it, the guy just got through saying that he didn't want to insult them by calling them actors, which could be seen as him calling men the second sex if you want to look at it that way. I mean, really, it all depends on how your perspective is at that point. But nope, we gotta think it's the women's because all the women's are seen as inferior.
This is the precise reason you don't call things offensive on behalf of a group you're not even a part of, especially something as small and retarded as this. And yes, I said retarded, you might as well defend on behalf of retards too.
So to speak. Look, I'm not going to label you as a misogynist, especially since your heart is apparently in the right place here.
You're not a misogynist, you're just belittling and insulting all women according to me. That's all.
I mean, hell, you even said you respect women.
Yeah, you respect women, so therefore you're not a misogynist. However, you're totally a misogynist because you refer to them as actress. Ark, are you listening to the mindless drivel that's spewing from your mouth?
You know, you did call Obama a nigger, but you also said you respect him, so kudos.
So I will give credit to you on there. But the problem is that you're jumping to conclusions and just assuming that we're saying that just being female is inferior, when we're actually trying to say the opposite.
Wait, So you're saying they're superior?
I have the sudden urge to hit Slothboy over the head with a shovel. Consider it instinct, I guess.
It's not that being female is something to hide. It's the fact that being male is just treated as perfectly normal, while being female is treated as something special, whether for better or worse.
So is it a problem women are seen as superior? I mean, you're basically saying that they were seen as special for better or worse. So that must mean there are times you acknowledge women are seen as superior beings, and going off of what Beige said earlier, how he didn't want to insult actresses by calling them actors, I'm still incredibly confused as to how you came to the conclusion you did. Is there any aspirin around here?
Which, to us guys, makes perfect sense, because to us, being male is normal, because it's just part of who we are. But if you're a woman, well, shouldn't being female be completely 100% normal, while men are the other sex?
I mean, yeah, these are probably some of the most out there examples I can give, but look at models, something seen dominated by women. Models that are male are called male models. Strippers are male strippers, and nurses are usually seen as male nurses. I mean, you're trying to say that women are always seen as the second sex, but there are clear examples that you're not looking at.
So how is it fair that they have to view everything through a male lens?
Because they don't? I'm not even completely sure what you mean here, and it just sounds like hyperbole, but no, you haven't done anything to prove women are somehow second class or separate or whatever, other than bitch about one word that in the long run doesn't mean anything at all. I hope you have something other than pure semantics to back up your case.
I don't want to promote them to the high, lofty status of actor. Oh, you're so good at acting. Why, you could be a man. It's
Funny, I was going to say the same thing about you.
amazing. Oh, does anyone think that women are not good at acting or are less good at acting than men?
No, and that's why we want to abolish the term.
Here we go! Here's the thing, I actually talked to Ark a little bit on Skype before making this, and he claimed he didn't actually care that much about the issue itself and just wanted to counter Beige's points. But here we have Ark himself claiming he wants to straight up abolish the word actress, so that's complete 100% premium grade A organic non-GMO vegan gluten-free unadulterated fucking horseshit, with the proof coming straight from Ark's own mouth. This is just you constantly insisting you aren't an SJW, but when put on the spot it's always proven to be false, which is a trademark Slothboy maneuver.
Now, just so we're clear, I'm not against using separate words to define if something's female or male. I mean, I'm fine with people saying boy and girl, daughter and son, mother and father, brother and sister, that sort of thing, you know, because the thing about these words is that they are two separate words in each of these cases, and they perfectly complement each other to show that the two sexes do complement each other and they go hand in hand. Again, I don't have a problem with that. But the problem with actor and actress is that the feminine form is just a modified version of the masculine form. That is the main issue we're taking with it.
I mean, not to go all red pill MGTOW on you, but women actually get their own words. Men don't. Men get male insert women dominated profession here. Also, what's your thoughts on tailor and seamstress? Or what about stripper and male stripper? This is actually a relevant question specifically here, as if you're okay with the stripper terms, you should be fine with the two words of actor and actress. If you're not okay with tailor and seamstress specifically, then here comes the better question of why do women, men, boy, girl, father, mother, daughter, and son get a pass, whereas tailor and seamstress don't.
You need to remember that the S suffix dates back to a time period when women pretty much couldn't do anything. They were basically viewed as the property of men and only existed to keep house and to make babies, you know, that sort of thing. That was basically the role of women at the time.
Appeal to emotion we don't care about, shouldn't care about, and should get you beaten over the head with the bratwurst.
Get a good career and stuff. They weren't allowed to act.
This is a total red herring that has nothing to do with what we're talking about at all. Stop insulting our intelligence with this crap. We know! It sucked to be a woman 100 years ago. Get over it and get back on topic.
So naturally, if a woman did any of those things at the time, you know, it was viewed as something abnormal. So at the time, yes, it did make sense back then to add that suffix to indicate it was female, because women were viewed as lesser beings at the time. But in this day and age, now that women pretty much have equal rights and they can pretty much do anything that doesn't require upper body strength, and sometimes even then, you know, we shouldn't have to make the distinction. The word actor should just be gender neutral.
Okay then, so should tailor. Oh, but we have seamstress, which is a whole different word, so it's totally okay, right? Right? Fucking cry me a river, then name it the Yourself River and allow me to build a bridge so you can get over yourself, you male beat Samantha.
For fuck's sake, you're not even a woman. Why should we take what you think about this being insulting to women seriously at all? You have a smudge on your white armor, cuck.
And really, the S suffix could be applied to anything, like, aside from all the obvious ones like princess, baroness, waitress, you could apply it to any occupation such as scientistess, gameress, doctress, artistess, singeress, commentatress. You sort of get where I'm going with this?
You know, you're right. It could be applied to anything. Now please take note of how it isn't. Because in the case of scientists, gamers, doctors, artists, singers, and commentators, your sex isn't something that needs to be taken into account. I mean, yeah, drag is a thing, but imagine a guy playing a role in a movie that only a woman can do. That's what I thought. It's better to get an actress to do roles written for actresses. Go figure.
I wouldn't mind that so much if there were a masculine counterpart.
Ark, I want you to pause your own video at this very point and read your text. I want you to just sit there and really soak in what you wrote here. Because this certainly shows blatant hypocrisy and double standards on your part. You can easily replace prince and actor with princess and actress and get a reasonable argument for the term actress existing. Just, why do you do this with zero self-awareness? Try again.
But I've searched the web, and apparently there is none. There is no masculine suffix which you add onto something to indicate that it's male, and again, this is the result of a society that was formerly that buzzword that feminazis throw around, but is now sort of just an artifact of that awful time period. If there were a masculine suffix, like a male counterpart to S, then we wouldn't have this problem.
Let me just drag in nurse, stripper, and model to tell you to shut up already. You've made your point, we debunked it, and all you're doing is shoving your foot down your throat more than any human should be able to do.
Let's just say, M. Let's say if I tack that onto the word actor to make it actrem.
Kill me. Yeah, if you thought it couldn't get worse, it's only downhill from here.
Basically, that's just sort of an indicator to say someone who acts who happens to be a man, you know? Like, I could say that, like, Robin Williams is one of the funniest actrams who ever lived.
Yeah, no, that sounds stupid. Stop.
Or that Mr. Enter is a terrible reviewer.
Reviewer is already neutral. Learn to English, you moron. Rim?
Yeah, that's something else you don't seem to realize. Gender-neutral names for jobs do actually exist. Construction worker, mechanic, engineer, teacher. Throughout this whole tangent, you've put this hyperbole down that every female in any role is S, when seriously, that's not at all the case.
Again, do you see where I'm going with this? If there were a masculine suffix to complement the feminine suffix, then it wouldn't matter. But there isn't. That's why we're taking issue with it.
So you take issue with it because men don't have one. Male prefix. Man prefix. Come on, this isn't that hard!
Yes, women do have equal rights, so why are we pretending that they don't? Also, about the whole, oh, you're such a great actor, like, you could be a man thing. Well, let's just say if the M suffix or something similar was in common use, and, you know, some guy wanted to become, like, say, a nurse or a stripper, you know, very female-dominated fields, but he didn't want to be referred to as nursem or striprem. Would that make him less of a man?
They're already differentiated for being male.
Is it implying that being male is somehow inferior, and that he just wants to be a woman? No, it just means he doesn't want to constantly draw attention to the fact that he's a man, and he just wants to do his job.
Amazingly, male strippers somehow still manage to do their fucking job despite being differentiated for a perfectly good reason. When you hear the word stripper, most people default to thinking of a woman. Oh, or is that misogynist too?
When I have put this to some actual professional actresses, the most common reply has been, well, you see, there's a strong association between actress and prostitute. Is there?
No. Not that I know of. It didn't even occur to me until I watched your video. Mainly because I don't view women as sex objects.
White Knight to the rescue with his virtue signal of justice, letting everyone in a 500 light-year radius know that he doesn't think women are sex objects. How noble. Yeah, eat a dick.
Dude, you're like the worst baseball player in existence. That point flew right over your head and into the next stadium over. You realize him asking, is there, is basically him being skeptical about that claim, right? I guess not if I have to sit here and keep asking. Actually, wait. You saying no there isn't is legit proving his point right, because he's being skeptical about the term actress being synonymous with prostitute. How did you miss this that hard? How did you assumedly write that down, record it, edit it, hopefully watched over it, and not at all catch that?
And I'm sure most Western men don't either. So I don't get where these actresses you've spoken to are coming from with this whole prostitution thing. So maybe you have a point. I mean, you could have just spoken to some of the more, like, feminazi types. They're just making it harder for women to be taken seriously. So yeah, I do kind of see where you're coming from. So let's hear it out.
You went about 40 seconds going on a ramble about how you agree.
The Jacobean period, but for goodness sake, today? It's 2015, there's nearly 2016.
Exactly! It's 2016 and women don't want to be reminded of their dark and troubled past.
Quick! We should get rid of the term actress because it's the current year, people! By the way, I believe you've just fallen under about every feminist SJW cliche in the past 3 years. Quit now while you're behind.
Now, granted, the whole prostitution thing is really far-fetched and, yeah, nobody thinks of prostitution when they think of women acting nowadays, but, you know, it's just the fact that it is a reminder of that time when women were just viewed as lesser beings or the second sex. That's what it's a reminder of.
I've literally never heard any woman say the term actress reminds them of the fucking Dark Ages. Stop projecting your male guilt on every vagina on the planet.
And again, we wouldn't have a problem if there were a male counterpart, but there isn't.
Male stripper.
Aside from the one I just made up. All I'm getting from your video is that you're saying, oh, it's okay to classify women as a minority because they have equal rights now, so they won't mind.
Burn the shaman!
By that logic, I could say it's okay to treat men the same way because they have equal rights, right? Look, I know that's probably not what you meant, and deep down you probably do genuinely care about women, as you previously stated. But when you're pretty much stating we live in an era when women have equal rights, don't you think that would be a good reason not to indicate otherwise?
Prince, princess, you legit said you were okay with this about 4 minutes ago. If we should abolish actress, we should abolish princess. We're about halfway done and I need a snack break.
Now, I'm not saying we should completely deny our history because, you know, we need to learn from our past mistakes so we don't make them again and all that stuff. But there's a time and a place for this stuff. History class, history books, or even just looking it up on the internet. And heck, if you're watching a period piece, it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to come across some outdated customs. But that doesn't mean we need constant reminders in our everyday lives. That life just wasn't how it is now. You know, women just want to get on with their daily lives, do what they enjoy doing. They don't need to be reminded of when they couldn't. I don't know, I just feel sorry for girls knowing that they grew up in a world where they're exposed to hearing women couldn't do this and she was the first woman to do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm proud of women's achievements over the years, but it's just the fact that they're being reduced to their gender. It's 2016, can't we just treat women as equals?
That stuff exists because women don't have that much historical recognition outside of recent history. You love to bring up the dark past of women, but when anyone tries to compensate for it, you act like it's a problem. You can't have your oppressed vagina and eat it too. Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space, Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman doctor, and Ty Blue was the first lesbian to host drama.
And then there's the fact that women are still being oppressed in certain third world countries. Now, I'm not going to say which ones because, well, they get really defensive over that stuff.
Are you fucking for real? You think Saudi Arabia is going to come after you because you point out they behead people? Look, I know this is your first comment and everything, but I gotta be harsh here. Stop being a little bitch.
And contrary to popular belief, there actually are feminists who actually care about women in third world countries.
And no one denies that. It's just a large vocal amount that don't, and that's why it's brought up to feminists so much.
One of the more prominent examples is Malala Yousafzai, that Pakistani girl who was shot by a member of the Taliban just for advocating for female education. And yet somehow she survived, fortunately.
You say fortunately, but the tone in your voice says otherwise. Seriously, can you be more monotone?
Also, I thought you said you weren't going to name them. Seconds later, you named Saudi Arabia. Better run, the high is gonna get you now.
Honestly, it just makes me sick that this is the world our girls live in, where even if it's not them being treated like this, then they know that there's millions of other people of the same gender as them being treated like that in other countries, and I can only imagine how insulting this is to them.
Can you do me a favor and stop talking? Like, forever? Please?
You can stop breathing altogether while you're at it. Oxygen is a valuable resource, you know.
So yes, it's good to advocate for women's rights in other countries, but still, do we need constant reminders of it when it's not even relevant to what we're doing at the moment? Again, I just feel like the mere existence of women revolves around their gender.
veterinarian, announcer, architect, artist, musician, mathematician, nutritionist, farmer, teacher, pilot, librarian, judge, dentist, athlete, artist, scientist, surgeon, coach, curators, diplomats, photographer, reporter, zookeeper, writer, lawyer, electrician, dog trainer.
Nigger, kike, spick, honky, sand nigger, savage, nip, chink, cracker, wetback. Look, even racism is for gender equality.
And granted, it's not quite to the extent that the feminazis would let on, but it's still pretty prevalent. I don't know, just let girls do what they enjoy doing and, you know, we don't need to make such a big deal out of it.
You're one to talk. You've been making a big deal out of one word this entire video. The kettle isn't black, by the way. She's mulatto, you racist.
And once again, I must emphasize, we are not shaming femininity. We're just acknowledging that femininity is already being shamed, and we're just trying to unshame it.
Nigga, please, the only thing you're doing is getting your period-stained panties in a twist over a fucking word.
You know, we want to teach girls to be proud of themselves and who they are, and, you know, we want to teach them that being a girl is awesome, and, you know, girls can do anything that doesn't require upper body strength. Just so long as we're not sidelining the boys, because boys will be boys and, you know, they deserve equal rights as well. But my point is, everyone should just feel comfortable being themselves, doing what they enjoy doing, and just pursuing their lifelong ambitions. It isn't fair that they have to be reduced to this or that, you know, just one attribute of them that really shouldn't be that prominent in their everyday lives, you know.
Hey, here's a fun thought. Maybe you're the one reducing them to the lesser being because you don't want separate words for a job, despite the fact that you ignore stripper, nurse, and seamstress, as well as say you're fine with prince and princess existing.
That's boring. You're boring everybody. Quit boring everyone.
I think people should use the word actress because to call them actors is an insult, and it's a very, very powerful thing. Imagine you're a mother talking to your daughter and you say, oh, no, you must insist that everyone calls you an actor, not an actress. Well done, Mum, because I don't believe that your daughter actually had the association in her mind of actress and prostitute until perhaps you put it there by telling her about it. And I don't believe either that that little girl necessarily believed that she couldn't act just because she was a mere girl. No, I think actually what you've done, Mum, is you've put into that little girl's head a very powerful idea that there is something genuinely lesser about being an actress. What could that be?
No. Get better media clips, scrub. Which you can find at boonslayer.spreadshirt.com.
Oh my god, there's just so much wrong with those last 42 seconds that I don't even know where to begin.
Choose those next few words very carefully.
If anything, I'd say the reverse is true. Aside from the part where you said that girls don't think they're lesser beings just because they're girls. That's the one thing you got right.
And even your lack of credibility has now been thrown out the window at this point. You've basically been reduced to a madman rambling on a New York subway.
And do you want to know why they don't think they're lesser beings? Because to them, being female is completely 100% normal. And boys are sort of the other different sex. And by calling these young aspiring girl actors actresses, we're basically teaching them that the reverse is true, that boys are sex number one and girls are sex number two.
So in other words, girls are sex number one? This isn't helping your case, dude.
Again, is this really the world we want our girls to live in? Yeah, I know I'm starting to repeat myself a bit, but just, you keep missing the point.
No. You missed the point. Seriously, the pitcher isn't even pitching at you anymore and you're still trying, desperately swinging to hit the ball.
Do you think girls like being treated as the second sex? Do they like being treated as less important than boys? Or do you think they want to be viewed on the same level as them? To properly explain the issue, I think it would be best if we reverse the genders in this scenario. Let's say you, as a young boy, grew up in a world where women ruled society, like pretty much throughout history. Then only in recent decades did men start to fight for equal rights. And in this day and age, men pretty much have equal rights, but they do still face a few disadvantages here and there. And let's say you, being the bright young lad you are, you aspire to become an actor. But then you discover that because the industry is dominated by women, male actors are referred to as actrons. Again, do you think this is fair, that everything has to revolve around women all the time, and everything must be viewed through a female lens?
I mean, the word is fucking stupid, but I wouldn't be bothered by being distinguished as a male actor because it's just a word and it doesn't matter to me, so even your shitty hypothetical doesn't work. GG.
I mean, actor would simply imply a change in the English language. It'd probably also mean men would dominate the modeling agency and stripper areas too, thus meaning model and stripper would then be a more male thing. And you'd probably fight against that too, because there's no pleasing an SJW, ever.
But I'm not an SJW. I'm the nihilistic snake, here to slither my venom action into—
Is this really how you, as a boy, want to be treated? I mean, sure, there's plenty of great male actors even in this female-dominated universe. But why can't we just call them actors? Oh, because calling them an actor implies that there's something lesser and inferior about being an actrum. Oh, we can't call them actrums because men aren't as good at acting as women. And it implies that they're prostitutes. It's like, do you want to be treated as the second sex? Because this is the world our girls live in. Now, obviously, they're not going to make the connection to prostitution because, again, they're just children. They don't need to know about that yet.
I knew what that was when I was pretty young and my head didn't explode. Not being sheltered isn't the end of the world, contrary to popular belief. In fact, it's probably better.
And plus, little girls don't have the mentality that, oh, it's female, it's got to be sexualized, or any of that. Because you need to remember that girls, when they get to a certain age, they start to fawn over cute boys.
So a broad generalization of how females work is gonna do what now? Is this at all relevant to anything? Because it seems like you're just rambling and losing your train of thought again.
So, now, about that scenario with the mother and her daughter. I'd say that by encouraging her daughter to identify as an actor, rather than an actress, you know, it's probably not going to send the implication that being female is somehow inferior. If anything, it'll probably have the opposite effect. She'll probably grow up thinking that, yeah, girls are awesome and girls can do anything that doesn't require, well, you get the idea. You know, girls are just bright and spunky and all that stuff, you know. Because, yeah, there's lots of bright young girls and women out there who aspire to become actors, writers.
Look at all
singers,
those words that don't
musicians.
exist.
Well, anyway, back to the point I was trying to make. If we really want our girls to feel just as important as the boys, we should either get rid of the feminine suffix or introduce a masculine suffix to balance it out. Oh, and don't do both, because we don't want the boys to feel less important.
Jesus, this is so pointless. Have you even considered how hard it is to force a language to change when people have been using it for centuries? It's not something you can just make happen unless you want a dictatorship. If people actually agreed with you, it would have naturally changed by now.
And this right here proves just how hard you missed the point.
He's not missing the point. The point is actress has apparently become taboo, and the fact that it's a separate word for actor shows that we may have other fields trying to take away their words. Is what he's saying there hyperbolic? Oh, hell yeah. I just say he understands the argument just fine though. Once again, it's you who's complaining just to complain.
As I said before, it's not that there exist separate terms for women, it's how they are formed. This analogy here doesn't make any sense because, again, the reason why no one takes an issue with the word mother is because it's not just father with some stupid suffix tacked on or some variation on the word father. You know, it's its own separate word. It's not like one is relying on the other. I mean, if female parents were referred to as fatheress, then this analogy would make more sense. Why, Lindybeige? Why? And that's the video. My final thoughts?
My god, he has a 5-minute final thoughts. Why? Haven't you wasted our time enough?
Well, it's pretty terrible. I mean, I get that Lindybeige wanted to make a video about the feminazis and the PC police dictating our language and limiting our freedom of speech. But I feel like he touched on the wrong subject material. And plus, his reasoning was just contradictory. I mean, if he respects women, which if he does, once again, kudos, then why does he refer to women as though they're less important than men? Just pick a side and stick with it. By your own logic, Lindybeige, I could say that you insulted Kate Adie by calling her a journalist. Oh, we can't call her a journalistess because there's something lesser about being a woman, and women aren't as good at journalism as men.
Wow, you completely missed the point there. Journalist is already neutral. Beige was talking about outright changing the way a word is used for no reason other than they think it's offensive when it's really not. Journalist is fine because there was no gender distinction in the first place. At this point, you're just the definition of clueless.
No, it's clue them.
And it implies that they're prostitutes. If he really wanted to make a video on PC language, he probably should have done it on how feminazis try to respell the words woman and women, and it just looks like garbled up gibberish. Or how they make up all these weird pronouns that look more like French or Germans learning English for the first time.
Holy shit, you're really going to critique other people's ideas of new words after fucking Actrum? Ark, I told you already, the kettle is fucking mulatto, I'm done with you.
Mirrors are rare in your house, aren't they, Ark?
You know, that's the stuff we should be targeting. Not the removal of a suffix that indicates that one sex is less important. If there were suffixes for both sexes, it would not be an issue. So why isn't there a masculine suffix in this day and age? At least then both sexes would be affected by this.
Okay, so there's no suffix, but there's a prefix.
Okay, Ark, you showed me this video yourself and I wanted it to be good. We could probably use another good commentator around. But after actually focusing and watching it, I can easily say this was a disaster. I'm not gonna say you should avoid talking about politics for your first commentary, but you should be sure you know what you're talking about. Based off this video alone, I can say you're just a more rambly version of Slothboy, swearing on your life that you're not an SJW while contradicting it at every turn in one of the most clumsy attempts at making points I've ever seen in my life. That's the last thing I want to say, but fuck. Get people to read or watch over your stuff before you post it. And if you did, I wouldn't trust those people anymore. Hell, I'd be willing to look over one myself. Also, don't be afraid to add humor to your videos, no matter what you're talking about. You should be focused on entertaining your audience just as much as making good points, so it's too bad you failed at both. So yeah, Tildeer, get good.
Okay, the list of everything wrong with this would stretch from West Texas to East Maine, but I think I could boil it down to this train wreck was hard to let go. You let every point go over your head. You strawman half of what he says, and your points drag out to infinitum. And now that I think about it, you have a 24-minute video with about 7 interjections total. 7 interjections. Repeating the same thing over and over again like a broken Beach Boys record, and having a lack of script causes you to ramble in such a way that really slows your thoughts down and can quickly get derailed. Also, can I jump on your very slow presentation? And by slow, of course, I mean there is virtually nothing here aside from pictures here and there. The majority of the video is your bread and blue stage curtain thing, and that gives us nothing to care about. I'm not going to say you're completely incompetent making commentaries or even tell you to stop making commentaries, but I will say you have a long way to go. Trust me, I don't want to just straight up tell you to stick to your clarinet, but don't give me a reason to change my mind. Well, that's done. Now what? Wait, what's that noise?
Sounds like Ark finally became the literal Hitler of English.
And then everyone died. The end.
Springtime for Hitler and Germany.
So how is it I can go on to work with a guy, hit him later, and then defend him in a video shortly after? I guess that's just sign of an acceptance that you really are a hit or miss commentator.